to be the man, you gotta beat the man right here.
Is the future of wrestling. You can call this the new world order of wrestling, brother.
Nobody is on my level. Everything I touch turns to gold.
Believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it, because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
Here we are, episode 757 of the Wrestling is Real podcast. Coming off the back end of Revolution, which we did a post show, yours truly did. Last time we were together, I did a post show for AEW Revolution here at WrestlingIsReal.com. And tonight, we get back to WrestleMania talk because Raw and SmackDown and just what the WrestleMania card is shaping up to be has really been built off some really good old school soap opera, superhero storytelling. I've really enjoyed it. And I want to go into what has actually happened so far and what we have so far. We have 8 matches now scheduled for WrestleMania at this moment. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the Undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley for the SmackDown Women's title. Haven't done a whole lot with that yet. Bianca Belair versus Asuka for the Raw Women's title. Brock Lesnar versus Omos. Gunther will defend the Intercontinental Championship, but I'm guessing it could be Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, or someone else. Austin Theory now is challenging John Cena for the United States Championship. Seth Freakin Rollins versus Logan Paul. And now we have a 6-woman tag team match. Trish Stratus, Lita, Becky Lynch versus Damage Controls, Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. It's pretty good. The Hollywood portion they have set because of John Cena, Logan Paul. So you got part-timers set into play. You got Brock Lesnar, the part-timer set into play. And that's fine. It's not a bad setup that they have. Remember, they're not worried too much about making sure they get everything set for, getting this place sold out. They already did. The easy part was done. To try to sell tickets for this show, well, that was already taken care of. So SoFi Stadium, they're all set to go. They'll be over there. And they're going to have a good old time doing that out there. Other than that, 3 weeks away, they're in good shape. They did pack in a bunch of storylines on Raw this week just to get themselves ahead to get some more matches all squared away. But what I'm wondering is, if we're getting everything now set up and it's already been kind of laid out what the storylines would be going forward to get to this point. And I can imagine we're getting there because what's been built out so far has been very good. I can enjoy what has been done so far to try to build up with Raw and SmackDown to get somewhere where we're going to go with things. So the Bloodline continues to be prominent on Raw with SmackDown. As long as they bring the Usos and Solo Sikoa over to Raw when need be. And then they went the other way around where Cody went over to see Roman on SmackDown, right? Now, in the matches we had, the idea was getting rid of the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn problems, respectively. So they did not give Solo Sikoa a pure loss. A DQ instead. So, yes, it's a loss on this record, but it's not a pinfall or submission. So they're keeping him strong. Basically undefeated right now. Never been pinned or submitted. They can go with that going forward instead of undefeated. But they had to do that in terms of Kevin Owens getting a win over someone on the Bloodline and not hurting Solo Sikoa, so this was the best course of action for them. And then in the match, Sami Zayn helps Owens out from an attack by the Bloodline. We continue the storyline with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens where they're in the ring. Sami Zayn lends the hand to pick up Kevin Owens. The hesitation, the suspense, it builds, and consistent with the storyline from the week before, where Sami Zayn wanted to try to go and patch things up with Kevin Owens so he can go ahead and take on the Bloodline. That happens here, and Kevin Owens sticks to his guns. So you're not going to get that easy, simple reward. You're not getting that here. That's the right thing to do, as a matter of fact, in the storyline as well. So when you go to this, great. You get to this point and you say, okay, let's just go ahead and continue to keep people in suspense. People kind of expect the inevitable that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will reunite. We had a pretty good reason where they could have done it, but Kevin Owens is still sticking to his guns. It's still not enough. It's logical storytelling. And it's one of those things where I think you kind of do things in threes. Or maybe a little bit longer. But eventually we're going to have to see these two together and the match will be made. I think they're really going to make that eventually happen, but that's what they want to do here. They want to stretch this out, let it linger a little bit more. Because what else can Sami Zayn do to get Kevin Owens to curry favor? What can be done to make these two patch things up and join forces in a line? But that's the problem here. Now, one of the things that happened at the end of the night was Sami Zayn was betrayed by Jey Uso. We were waiting for a while on the other part of suspense. Is Jey Uso going to side with Sami Zayn, or is he going to side back with his brothers, with his family? They built that up really good at the end of the night. And so with Sami Zayn, he's getting attacked, and the Jey Uso comes out. We find out, which is eventually going to be the delusion, that Sami Zayn and Jey Uso are on the same page and that they're together, brothers in arms. No. And they took just enough time to let Jey Uso let that sink in, give him the hug, put his hand up, all this kind of stuff going on, only to betray at the end, which was the right move as well. So Sami Zayn completely betrayed. More than 9 months later, this is where it should have been, where they ended up. And now listen, Sami Zayn is still very much over as a result. So this Bloodline storyline for him really paid off in spades. Paid off big. Now they were in Boston, they were in the big crowd last night, or Monday night. That whole story is very compelling. It's compelling. It's nicely stretched out. It's multi-layered. It's like what a soap opera does. When you want to see like that emotional connection, because that's what's happening now. These storylines are based on emotion. I mean, you kind of feel something for Sami Zayn because of all the being screwed up and what happened to him. Like, we've been following the storyline now for a few months where he betrayed and now he's here. And I mean, it's the basis of the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. We get to this point a couple weeks after, and now we get the culmination of what happened here, where everybody's now on the proper pages. Sami Zayn is fully persona non grata. He has turned full face, and the Usos have now realigned. They're back together. Jey Uso taking enough time off to reflect. Because even with what happened with Jey Uso and the fact that where we were with things, did the right thing. I mean, listen, Jey Uso going back after all said and work. One of the things that was even better in the storyline as well is the storyline of the week anyway, that Jimmy Uso had to come back, patch things up with Jey, which he did, but Solo Sikoa did not finish the Kevin Owens problem, did not resolve it, and Jimmy Uso did not resolve the Sami Zayn problem, which was good. Now, maybe they did, but the thing is, Jimmy Uso wasn't the one that did it. It was Jey. Jey had to come into the very end to do that. So Roman Reigns might still have something with Jimmy to work off of and say, listen, both of you guys need to prove yourselves. Something will have to happen to do that. Now, a number of things could happen here. We could still see Roman Reigns direct or obligate the Usos to take on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to take them out, whereby they would probably put the titles on the line, even in that same respect. Because I think that's where you go with the course of action to make that title match possible, the tag title match. Is that if you have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn at odds trying to work together. I like that dynamic a lot. Them coming in as a tag team that is not meshing, but they have a lot of history together, so like there should be something there. I think this makes it just an extra part, because I would like that to be where they go with the storyline if they're going to move ahead with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, which I think they're going to. But I would like them to be at odds because of this, the rift that they have. That would be the right way to go in the storyline, to my opinion. And it doesn't have to be for everyone, but imagine that we would have no idea if the Usos we would have no prediction, any predictability as to who would win in that match. Now you can see the upper hand's always going to be the Usos because they are the winners. They are the favorites. They are the title holders. They've been like that for a long time. You can do that, I guess, if you want. Now, as for Asuka and Bianca Belair, that match has not been set up much yet. We're not now. Carmella has now been brought into the mix, and all I know is that Carmella and Bianca Belair, they're just trying to put this as a stopgap. Asuka and Belair do not touch each other, so the build, you could say, is flat. Now you're starting to see what Carmella and Chelsea Green are going to work together. I mean, Chelsea Green just works with others really well, so that makes sense for that storyline, just to get her somewhere involved. We'll get a Miz TV segment, and the thing is with that, Logan Paul comes out, addresses Seth freaking Rollins, cheap shot, and Logan Paul makes the match with Seth freaking Rollins. And Seth Rollins, again, working another featured singles match. It's interesting where Seth Rollins he's getting the high profile matches, though. They're still considered kind of main event level. But I'm still surprised that there's no titles with him. Like, they gave him the U.S. title run for a long time in the off season, but that world title still is something they don't think they want to go ahead and put him into the picture on. Especially against Roman Reigns. They didn't want to hurt Seth Rollins with him anyway. Even though Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns would have been a draw. That would have drawn money for people to go to that match and watch that feud go on. But they didn't decide to do that. But it's an easy story to tell. And maybe they're just going to hold on to it. We'll find out. With John Cena and Austin Theory, just let John Cena go out there, do his normal thing, and basically make his opponent look stupid for even thinking they can go up against the old man, the veteran. You know, they just got to realize it's just not going to be happening. I mean, you put John Cena out there, and that's all there is. I mean, sure, Cena has that deal where he makes himself so ominous that Austin Theory looks like a complete chump at the end of it, but that's what needs to happen here. Now, Austin Theory could win and should have to win to continue to hold that U.S. title. I'm looking for a review there here, and they're explaining, while Theory is going to get a win at WrestleMania, will it be enough to make up for Cena obliterating him on the mic here? Because Austin Theory has to come up with something more on the mic to go after. The bald spot's not enough. And this is where John Cena is going to go and win the promo battle. Austin Theory has to come up with more. And that's what he needs to really stand out to be the kind of champion he needs to be, or be the star that he's supposed to be in the future. It's all going to happen that way. So I'm not sure where they're going to go with that anyway. So now we'll get the 6-woman tag. Hey, bring the veterans back to go and work together again. Trish and Lita with Becky. All right. That'll be a fun match to have. That's fine. But for the most part, WrestleMania is building out to the right thing. What they're doing with it is good. The Brock Lesnar thing with the Bobby Lashley Bray Wyatt stuff, we need a lot more happening to get somewhere with that. They're doing something with it. It's not panning out. It's one of those that's going to struggle, really well. And when you look at the rest of the card, that's it. I mean, Brock Lesnar and Omos, we got to build that up with MVP being the mouthpiece here with Brock Lesnar. They did a little bit with that. Those are two matches they're going to suffer. And you have to split up Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar's match in general. You have to split them up over 2 nights. You can't both of them on the same night. Can't be. I don't know what you do. It's a little weakness that they have overall. But listen, you want your 4 solid matches you got? The women's titles will be up there. Roman and Cody. In theory, and Cena would have to be up there. Now, you can say Seth Rollins, Logan Paul, but that might be a little bit lower on the undercard anyway. But there's enough right now on the card to do okay with. It's not bad. You still got to set up the Usos and Kevin and Sami. That's got to get set up. We'll figure out what they're going to do with it and where they go with it. But like I said, I'm not going to go ahead and go too over the top, but like the storytelling continues to be solid. It goes where it needs to go. All the talk about, oh, what's going to happen to whatever, this and that. No, nothing like that. Forget about it. And so what's going to happen now is we'll continue to just follow along and see what they're going to do going forward with Raw and SmackDown to get the WrestleMania card in order. Because they need, for over both nights, you need to get, about 12 to 14 matches total set up? Have 6 or 7 per night? They have to figure that out. Especially if they're talking about doing the nights a little bit shorter than normal, which will be fine. Because right now, 8 matches on the card, that gives you like a good 4-hour pay-per-view right there. We'll see what they do. Now, last night on NXT, I was watching. NXT built Roadblock. And for whatever happened, Roxanne Perez had her match as she was going on to defend the women's title. And she won. And something happened where we don't know if it's legit or not, but it looks like it could very well be because Roxanne Perez looked a little bit woozy. And apparently it looks like it, but she might have had a concussion because she collapsed after she was had her hand raised to win the belt. Retain. Not sure what to think about that. We're still waiting to go and find out as it is. But it did not look good at all. Want to run through a few more storylines before we go and run and we're going to finish everything up. This is a story I thought was very interesting. I did not expect something like this to happen, but you know what? With the DraftKings of the world coming in to work all together with, the WWE or AEW, now we're starting to hear about state gambling regulators looking to work with WWE to legalize betting on scripted match results. WWE had discussions with state gambling regulators in Colorado and Michigan to legalize betting on scripted match results. They're also working with Ernst & Young, which is now known as the firm EY. It's always the accounting firm that always held like the Oscar award winner envelopes. The accounting firm. And that would be to secure match results so they don't leak to the public. WWE creative executives don't plan to inform wrestlers who will win until hours before a match. And the aim is to have major sports betting companies offer bets on high-profile matches. You've already been seeing Vegas odds makers already putting odds out there. So now we're getting to the point where we're going to see the chance for gambling against these matches. There we go. And WWE executives have cited the Oscars as betting as a template to convince regulators gambling on scripted matches is safe. And while the Academy Awards voting results, which have been predicted by PricewaterhouseCoopers or Ernst & Young, they have kept things secret before. Betting companies have decided they're willing to place odds on matches even if it's legalized. And discussions have yet to occur with betting firms, but we'll find out if that's going to happen. Spokesperson for WWE did not comment, and Ernst & Young will not comment either. And if the WWE does succeed in the bid to legalize gambling on matches, it will open the door on betting on other guarded, seeker-scripted events and other featured character deaths in TV series. It would alter how matches are produced, how storylines are created, and how gambling on wrestling would work. WWE would have to propose the scripted results be locked in months ahead of time, according to the people familiar with the matter. And wrestlers themselves would not know who would win or lose until the match right before it takes place. So the results of the WrestleMania main event can be set up ahead of time based on a scripted storyline that hinged to the winner of January's Royal Rumble. Betting on that match could then take place between the end of Royal Rumble and up to days or hours before WrestleMania, when the wrestlers and others in the show's productions would learn the results. Now, they've said that potential buyers for the company next month are looking for first-round bids in terms of the sale of the company. Now, there's no assurance that transaction will take place, but bids are going to start happening now about potential buyers for the company. Whenever we start reading something about that, I will, of course, talk about that quickly. We will bring that up. WrestleMania Backlash is going to be hosted in Puerto Rico. Crazy. And Bad Bunny will be hosting. Now, Bad Bunny will be hosting the event Saturday, May 6th from the Coliseo de Puerto Rico's Jose Miguel Agrelot, there we go, in San Juan. First premium live event to go into Puerto Rico since January 2005. Oh, by the way, I would mention that Liv Morgan looked amazingly hot at the Knicks game last night, as somebody was talking to her and she was not paying attention at all. But Senior Vice President of Live Events, Justin Scalise, was telling her something, and she wasn't paying attention. And it turned into a meme today. And Liv Morgan commented on it. She says, "What a bizarre moment. It's so weird to me what goes viral and what doesn't. I mean, first of all, I want to say we had no idea that we were being filmed. We had no idea that the camera was on us, which doesn't excuse anything, but that's Justin Scalise. He's incredible. He was explaining something to me, and I was watching the game, and I was listening, but I was also kind of deep in my head, thinking of my own thoughts. I was in my own world, so unaware that I was being filmed. My phone was blowing up, and I saw this message. I'm like, oh my God, Justin, I'm so sorry. He's been such a good support about it. It was just the most bizarre, weirdest thing. I don't know, let's say I was ignoring him. It is Women's History Month. But I must say, whatever happened out there, she looked amazing. Like, I mean, the look on her just looked fire. We'll just say that. Obviously, that's what the reason was, that they were they actually had the camera on her in the first place. Let's just say it like that. And speaking of premium live events, we now know that Jeddah, Saudi Arabia will have the King and Queen of the Ring. That has now been set up and made official, which is good. That's a good way to go and put the pay-per-view together. Let's see if it really does make much of a difference and if it stands out for people. But anyway, we now have that set up. May 27th at the Jeddah Superdome. So now we know Puerto Rico and Saudi Arabia in the same month. So they're building some pretty big events after WrestleMania. That's good. Interesting. Plus, you still got to have Money in the Bank after that. And a few months later, SummerSlam. Like, they really are paying attention to building more of things going on, which is good. A couple of things we just learned about that came up on AEW, that FTR is now definitely back. They're now going to challenge the Guns for the tag team titles. They're not going anywhere. Announcements have been made about that. The AEW All Elite Championship has been now renamed the International Championship. That's fine. And more on the amended lawsuit with MLW, which, by the way, I've been watching their show, Underground Wrestling, over on Reel's channel. That's actually like a nice presentation. The one thing that's good about that right now, not so much Matt Striker, but that they have the show now even better produced than ever before to stand up for Reels, because they need to have the production step up more. So that's what they did. Anyway, recent news about the MLW lawsuit. So the original lawsuit was dismissed last month in February, excuse me. But then the judge allowed MLW to amend claims because he felt MLW had not included sufficient facts to plausibly allege a relevant antitrust product market. Brandon Thurston, PW Insider, WrestleNomics, they both obtained the lawsuit court documents. And we're learning about how, at the moment, MLW did negotiate with Reels to get their MLW Underground program on Tuesday nights at 11. Reels made a deal to air with Peacock to air the channel live on the streaming service, except when MLW Underground airs on Tuesday nights. Variety.com reported that the MLW run for the Underground Wrestling show is only 10 weeks, and they allege that WWE's deal with Peacock contributes to its antitrust case because it keeps non-wrestling content that's not WWE out of the service. Plus, MLW alleged that there were attempts by Triple H to prevent the Ring of Honor G1 Supercard event from taking place at Madison Square Garden. Now, there you go. That's all the being worked out and all being talked about at the moment in the world of wrestling. I did do a post show, like I said, for AEW Revolution. We'll leave it at that and take care of that from there. But like I said, we're just kind of rolling along slightly to see what we're going to go and find out what comes up with WrestleMania when it comes to the build. So another quick, easy show to go ahead and consume tonight, folks. That's how I'll make it for you. We're going to leave it there. And we'll come back next week, see what else keeps building up. Come back for another Wrestling Gazette podcast, because wrestling needs us.
Thank you for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast. Find past episodes anytime at wrestlingisreal.com or subscribe on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or all major podcast distributors. Follow at King of Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. This has been a presentation of the King of Podcasts Radio Network.